The years following World War I did not bring uncomplicated peace. The United States emerged as a significant creditor nation, while Great Britain was heavily indebted. This financial imbalance created tension, with Britain owing the U.S. an estimated $22 billion. Economic power was shifting across the Atlantic, causing friction. Despite its debts, Britain remained the world's preeminent naval superpower. The U.S., rapidly industrializing, viewed Britain as a major economic competitor. American planners saw potential for economic rivalry to spill into conflict. British naval dominance loomed large in American strategic thinking. U.S. planners feared Britain's wartime practices could again target American commerce. Protecting American economic interests was a powerful motivator. Planners assumed Britain's primary objective in a hypothetical war would be to eliminate the U.S. as an economic rival. This assumption influenced the aggressive nature of U.S. war plans. While outright war seemed unlikely, planners prepared for worst-case scenarios. The fear was that Britain might leverage its naval power to curtail American growth. The formal development of War Plan Red began after the 1927 Geneva Naval Conference. This conference was a significant event where world powers attempted to negotiate limitations on naval armaments. The conference failed to limit naval armaments, exacerbating tensions. The inability to reach an agreement led to increased distrust among nations. American planners accelerated the creation of a strategy for potential conflict with Britain. This was a direct response to the growing international instability. War Plan Red received official endorsement in May 1930. This endorsement marked a pivotal moment in U.S. military planning. This high-level approval signified the seriousness of the plan. It was no longer just a theoretical exercise, but a concrete strategy. The plan was now an official, secret strategic document. Its classified status underscored the sensitive nature of the preparations. It underwent significant amendments as strategic thinking evolved. These changes reflected the dynamic nature of military strategy. In 1934, a chilling amendment authorized the first use of chemical weapons and strategic bombing. This marked a significant escalation in the plan's aggressiveness. These tactics aimed for the rapid capture of Halifax, Nova Scotia. Halifax was seen as a crucial strategic point. In February 1935, the U.S. War Department secured funds for air bases along the Canadian border. These bases were essential for the plan's execution. These bases were positioned for preemptive strikes against Canadian airfields. The strategic placement was crucial for maintaining air superiority. One base was camouflaged as a civilian airport. This deception was intended to mask military intentions. In August 1935, the U.S. conducted its largest peacetime military maneuver near the Canadian border. These exercises tested the readiness of the forces. The final version of War Plan Red was submitted in December 1935. This submission marked the culmination of years of planning and preparation. This plan underscored the serious intent behind the preparations. It was a testament to the lengths the U.S. was willing to go to protect its interests. American planners anticipated a prolonged conflict with Britain. They believed Britain would initially hold a significant advantage at sea. Canada, as a British dominion, was seen as a primary base for British forces. This made Canadian territory a critical focus for U.S. war efforts. The U.S. strategy involved a defensive posture against British-Canadian incursions. However, this stance was temporary. The core of the plan was offensive, to blockade, invade, and conquer Canada. By seizing Canadian territory, the U.S. aimed to deny Britain a crucial base. The conquest of Canada was a step towards broader objectives against the British Empire. The goal was to cripple Britain's ability to wage war in the Western Hemisphere. Economic pressure and the loss of Canadian resources were expected to force Britain to negotiate. Any captured territory was to be annexed by the U.S. Conversely, a British victory could result in the loss of Alaska and diminish U.S. power. The plan included provisions for inciting revolts in Ireland and British India. The invasion of Canada, codenamed Operation Crimson, targeted Halifax, Nova Scotia, a strategic location of immense importance. Halifax was the greatest ice-free port in eastern Canada, making it a vital asset for year-round naval operations. Its capture would severely hinder the UK's ability to reinforce Canadian defenses, disrupting their strategic plans. The plan authorized the use of poison gas and strategic bombing, showcasing the lengths to which the invaders were willing to go. Severing transatlantic telegraph cables at Halifax was also planned, aiming to cripple communication between Canada and its allies. An amphibious assault from Boston and New York was the primary approach, leveraging the proximity of these major cities. Alternative landing sites and overland advances were considered to ensure flexibility and adaptability in the invasion strategy. The plan included capturing other key ports like St. John and Moncton, further disrupting Canadian logistics and supply chains. Securing the Niagara Falls hydroelectric power plant was crucial, as it was a significant source of energy for the region. The invasion envisioned a multi-front assault into central Canada, aiming to overwhelm defenses through sheer numbers and coordination. American forces were to advance into Quebec from multiple states, creating a pincer movement to capture key locations. The primary objectives were Montreal and Quebec City, both vital for their economic and strategic significance. Advances were also planned into Ontario, aiming to control the heartland of Canada and its industrial resources. Forces from Buffalo, Detroit, and Pennsylvania had specific targets, each contributing to the overall invasion strategy. The plan extended to disrupt Canada's transcontinental supply lines, aiming to paralyze movement and logistics across the country. An advance from North Dakota aimed to seize Winnipeg, a key transportation and communication hub in the region. On the Pacific coast, forces from Washington were to advance into British Columbia, aiming to secure the Western Front. An amphibious assault was planned to capture Vancouver Island, ensuring control over key maritime routes and ports. The U.S. Navy's role in War Plan Red was carefully defined. Its primary focus was blockading British-Canadian maritime traffic. Securing control of the Great Lakes was also key. The Navy was to avoid large-scale engagement with the British Royal Navy initially. As the war progressed, the U.S. Navy would become more assertive. A decisive battle would shift the naval balance of power. Intelligence gathering was crucial for War Plan Red. The U.S. Army's G2 Division conducted detailed reconnaissance of Canada. Charles Lindbergh undertook secret reconnaissance flights over Canada. Planners considered Canada's harsh winter conditions. Extensive operations were to be avoided between November and April. Red was part of a series of color-coded war plans. Each color represented a specific country or scenario. War Plan Black dealt with Germany, and War Plan Orange with Japan. Other plans included green for Mexico and yellow for China. War Plan Red addressed a war with the United Kingdom. Subplans covered British dominions and colonies. The complexity of international relations led to multi-adversary scenarios. One such plan was Red-Orange, addressing a two-front war against Britain and Japan. The color-coded plans reveal the extensive nature of U.S. military planning. These plans aimed to ensure the U.S. was prepared for various conflicts. While the U.S. drafted War Plan Red, Canada developed Defense Scheme No. 1, a bold and ambitious plan that reflected the geopolitical tensions of the early 20th century. This plan was initiated in 1921 under Brigadier General James Sutherland Brown, a visionary leader with a keen sense of strategy. Defense Scheme No. 1 advocated for preemptive strikes into the northern U.S., aiming to catch the Americans off guard. The plan outlined a five-pronged invasion targeting key areas, including strategic locations that would cripple American defenses. The objective was to disrupt American mobilization efforts, thereby delaying their response and gaining a tactical advantage. Canadian forces aimed to create chaos and buy time for British reinforcements, which were crucial for sustaining the defense. During the retreat, Canadian forces were to destroy infrastructure, such as bridges and railways, to hinder American advances. Defense Scheme No. 1 was considered flawed by some within the Canadian military, who questioned its feasibility and strategic soundness. It neglected the defense of Halifax, a vital port essential for receiving supplies and reinforcements. The resources required for such actions were beyond Canada's capacity, making the plan more of a theoretical exercise than a practical one. The plan was discontinued in 1929 by Major General Andrew McNaughton, who recognized its limitations. McNaughton favored a more conventional defensive posture, focusing on protecting Canadian territory rather than offensive maneuvers. Despite its flaws, Defense Scheme Number 1 remains a testament to Canada's strategic thinking and willingness to explore bold ideas. It reflected a willingness to consider unconventional solutions in the face of potential threats. The plan highlighted the potential for conflict with the U.S., a reminder of the fragile peace between neighboring nations. It underscored the need for preparedness in the face of unlikely scenarios, ensuring that Canada remained vigilant and ready. Britain did not develop a formal war plan targeting the U.S. Britain's focus was on European threats and global imperial commitments. The Royal Navy's main objective was supporting Canada. Maintaining control of the North Atlantic sea lanes was paramount. A full-scale invasion of the U.S. was considered unrealistic. British strategies included attacking the U.S. fleet and disrupting merchant shipping. Amphibious raids on vulnerable points were also contemplated. Cooperation with Dominion forces to capture U.S. territories was considered. The goal was to inflict economic and military damage. These actions aimed to compel the U.S. to seek peace. War Plan Red remained classified for decades. It was declassified in 1974, revealing detailed contingency plans. The color-coded war plans were withdrawn in 1939 with the outbreak of World War II. They were replaced by the Rainbow Plans, addressing multi-enemy scenarios. The color-coded plans influenced subsequent U.S. war planning. The strategic thinking and intelligence work had enduring utility. The plans underscore the military's duty to prepare for unlikely contingencies. War Plan Red and Defense Scheme. Number 1 are intriguing artifacts. They reflect a complex chapter in North American relations. These plans highlight the importance of preparedness in military strategy.